One of those phone consultants coming in.
Yeah, I know. There, we had some
up.
trouble with that,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
How
Good
you doing?
evening,
Sneaking
how
in.
you doing? Busy guy lately, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the time change. I couldn't be here early. So we actually got an extra hour, right? I know. Me too. Nicole, did you talk to the chief about the volunteer award by any chance?
Yes, we'll do that.
Okay, so we're gonna do it Tuesday? Okay, I've got all this stuff out my car, riding around in the back of my car, so I should, okay. Hi, chief.
Or have her, no.
Oh, we already turned that one, we were
Oh, after the meeting. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't want to.
For December. And I don't see
Yeah,
a potential conflict.
you have, okay.
We've got on the agenda to discuss
Oh, yeah, all right, good.
the meeting date in December, but I don't see any conflict with the 3rd
Let's see,
of January.
December 3rd? No, I don't see a conflict with that.
Yeah, so I don't know why that's on there.
Yeah, I don't know.
And January
We
shouldn't be
almost-
either because the 1st is on a
Yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah, so we're gonna
So-
end up fine on the 7th.
Yeah,
Okay,
cool.
that's good.
I'll let you answer my question. With the design for the RNA, 5 hours. So you guys send that.
Yeah, tonight and Wednesday. For basketball? Nice. Is he doing B2RD? No. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, unless someone else shows up.
Hmm?
We don't have it yet.
Yeah, need one more body. Sharon's not gonna be here. And Steve Martino and Joanne Robert.
Well, I know they're setting something up in the gym too,
Protected our.
so, but maybe.
Protected the city's assets.
Plus people have been coming all day trying to turn in their ballots. If they can
Yeah,
get
we
it in.
need one more person.
I will find it.
I know Richard is coming.
Might as well.
Oh, okay.
Saw him yesterday, so.
Okay, we now have adequate members that we have a quorum. So let's go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:04. We've had some requests for to be excused, and that includes our treasurer, Sharon Geiser, a member, Stephen Martino, and member Joanne Roberts, and we'll show them as excused from this meeting.
Would you like me to do roll call?
Yes, if you will, please.
Mayor Carroll,
Here.
Councilmember Santos,
Here.
Treasurer Sharon Geiser is absent, Chair Steve Cooley,
Here.
Vice Chair Richard Beneke,
Here.
Member Stephen Martino is absent, Member Joanne Roberts is absent, Member Anna Olvera. Here. And alternate member Andrew Forrester is not here at the moment.
Okay, we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Anybody have any conflicts of interest that need to be disclosed? Okay, I'm not hearing any response to that, so we'll pass as a no. So the first item on our agenda is the adoption of the minutes dated October 1.
Chair, I do have a public speaker for public comment.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So let's go ahead with the public speaker.
All right, if you want to go ahead and open up the time for me, please.
I'm sorry.
If you want to open
Time. Just declare the time you're opening it up for public
Okay.
comments.
Opening up for public comments at 6:07.
Thank you. Debbie Yermovic.
Beneke asked for the risk management. This is 2016-2017 risk management budget and general ledger. When you look on page 3 of the budget, it gives the numbers, the account numbers. For example, contract services is $1,340.60. But when you go to the general ledger, contract services is $1,370.68. No matchy-matchy. This is how bad your accounting is. The budget should match the general ledger, which should match the financial statements. There's your risk management. Risk management up until June 30th, 2015. The only entry there ever was James Gregg's payroll. James Gregg was the principal of ERMAC. He was the original principal of General Government Management Services, and he got paid $250,000 a year to be your risk manager. So 3 times, the three trifectas of pillaging the city. Is that illegal? Yes, it is illegal. Was he ever charged? Did the city ever file a complaint? No, never. The Bar Association called me when I filed a complaint against James Gregg, and they said, "Why didn't you turn this into the Riverside County District Attorney?" And I said I did. And they ignored it because it's a corrupt county, and it's nothing to be proud of that you're in a corrupt city, in a corrupt county. You have no finance department. After James Gregg slithered out the door, Pinckney and, as you can see, other people's money is funneled in here. But that's all it is, just plugged in numbers, just to hide money. Oh, look, Pardee's claim. No records.
No other speakers.
No other speakers? All right. Then we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes dated October 1. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for October 1st, 2018.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes dated October 1, 2018. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item on our agenda is the July and August 2018 financial reports. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I've provided for you the July and the August financial reports that we do have for you on a monthly basis. And the next meeting, we'll have the quarter for September and the 1 month October. That's how we will catch up and be back on track. The July financial statements, as I have in the staff report, are always just a little bit odd looking. And that's because we do the accruals at June 30. So we accrue revenues that are received in July and in August based on what they're for, and we move them back so that they're included in the June numbers. In doing that, you have to reverse that entry in July, which makes everything look a little upside down for revenues, and expenses then will appear short for the month of July. But then in August, some of that effect is wiped away clean, because for government accounting, you look at a 60-day period for your revenue accruals. So by the end of August, you're back to a regular, almost cash received basis for your revenues. But the year-to-date will still be slightly skewed for that reason. So the revenues are off a little bit only because of the timing of the recognition. But it looks like we have a strong start for July and August. We're looking forward to seeing how the sales tax numbers are going to present themselves going forward. They've continued about the same as they've been, but we know that the state of California changed their program internally, the way that businesses file their sales tax returns, and there's been a glitch. The state has not finished processing all of the filings, so there may still be some catch-up in sales tax revenues that we'll see November and December. Otherwise, the bulk of revenues will come in December. We'll see the first big chunk, and we'll be able to assess that against the budget and have a better idea of where we stand for that. For the wastewater fund, the revenues for July, of course, there really aren't any. All there are adjustments. Same with August. Our first billing for the services will occur, well, it did occur on 9/1. So the first revenue recognition for the wastewater treatment plant is really going to be in September. And then, of course, we have billing every other month after that, because what's billed in July is pulled back and recognized in June for the year end. So I don't know if you have any specific questions with the numbers. Like I said, they're a little hard the first couple of months of a new fiscal period, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
On that, I mean, especially in July, when I review it and everything in here, I just noticed you're right. I mean, thank you for explaining that right away. I thought my question to you, I thought it's a refund and it's an accrual. I mean, there's journal entries in there to
Right.
reflect your accruals in there.
Right.
Thank you
So,
for that. I mean,
sure.
That explained that. I mean, and then on August, you did reflect that. I mean, that there's I like to see. Can I jump in? I mean, on your cash flow basis. I mean, on the cash basis.
The
I like to see
final page, the
Yeah, the
last page.
final page. That really, I mean, tells a lot on the cash management on that. I really appreciate that. That's my first time to see that. Now I do understand it's how things works in there, and I really appreciate that. If we could continue that, that would be great. I mean, to see that every meeting, and I like to see that, especially not on an accrual basis and a cash basis.
Right.
Now I could say that, oh, okay, we're right there in the budget. I mean, we're in line on that.
Right, right. And we do try to do that with each monthly report, but sometimes I was handing it out at the meeting because I simply run out of time. But we have a full staff now, and so I'm getting some assistance, and we should be able to get these published with the agendas going forward.
Thank you about that. I mean, yeah.
There was nothing that was unusual that you
No.
didn't expect. Different than
It's about the same as
Yeah.
what happened last year. When you look at the reports comparing this year to last year, you can see that the accrual basis of accounting does really skew that first month. The second month then is a little bit of a hybrid as you're looking at that full 60-day for revenues. But then it catches back up and will be more normal as far as it's recorded for September, October, and going forward. June's going to show heavy numbers. July is going to show very light numbers, and it's just all based on timing.
Yep. Can I go on that? I mean, since we're talking about that, as I said, on the cost basis in there, you did that. Now you could trace the fund transfer in there. There's a $3 million in there just to cover some of the costs and everything. That's good though. I mean, now you could see on the cash that how it's swing and everything in there to cover the cost. Hopefully by September, October, we will see the real picture, how our sales tax, especially on the permits. I was amazed on our permits jump on the revenue side on that. I mean, is it, my question on that, let me throw it to you. On the permits, is it more on the commercial side or more on the other fees?
It's both sides at this point. I mean, the way that we look at it from the finance side is it being generated through the planning department or through public works?
Okay.
And a good chunk of it is planning, so that's new construction, homes or commercial. But we're getting quite a bit now also through the public works department for different things that are being constructed, inspections being done, that kind of thing. So the two both are still growing. I haven't really seen that part pull back as some of the other industry statistics have shown some slowing, but not with our permits.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, there's on August alone, I mean, we have about 733,000 on that. That's excellent. I mean, good. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's not about these reports because these reports are good, and I agree with the cash balance and analysis and reconciliation. But it's earlier, not this meeting, but another meeting, we talked about with your new financial software, there were some things that were still cumbersome that you were hoping to get more support so that you didn't have to do manual fixing. It needed to be more automated. Could you tell me, have we resolved that yet, or did you get the help you needed?
We are working on it. It's the cash flow statement. It doesn't balance to the bank reconciliations automatically. We have to continue working with it because we have one bank account that we don't do the disbursements through the general ledger. They're reported in total instead because they're part of the third-party administrator program for our insurance coverage.
Yeah.
So since we don't enter the individual line items through that, we can't do the bank reconciliation through that. So it's done outside of the general ledger. With that, then when we generate the report in the system, it doesn't balance because it doesn't know about the last account. So we always have to go back through and make sure that it balances completely. And it does take a little bit of time sometimes to make sure that each one of the funds are balancing out to the right balance. We have a secondary reconciliation that's not here to make sure that once we have all the line items that it does in fact agree back to each one of the shared cash balances as well as then the independent bank accounts.
Okay. And you're fine with Wilmington Trust with the reporting? They've assisted you on all of the steps that they promised on
For the reporting?
Okay.
They have. And those accounts are not included in this cash fund report, only because since we consider them trustee accounts, they are cash held by them for specific use, so we don't include them in our regular cash operations.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to receive and file. Yes, go.
Under transfers, what do we transfer? Where do we transfer?
Transfer of funds, we are transferring funds from our wastewater account into our capital programs. So that's funds being transferred in order to fund the capital construction.
Capital construction. And that money has been sitting there for a while? Like, where did that money come from?
Oh, it's from developer impact fees for the sewer connections and capacity fees. So as we've needed them, we've moved them over so that we would have them available. And now we have the bond proceeds, which will appear in the September financials. Not that we've touched it yet, but it's now there and available when we do need it.
That's the only transfers under this category? I mean,
At this time, yes.
could there be other transfers?
Sure, if we have one fund that needed general fund to back up some cost that was incurred there that they didn't have funds for, we could have a transfer over to pay for it out of the general fund. But that doesn't happen very often. If it would be one of the grants, but it would be timing and we pay it back. So generally, it's just transferring funds to the projects.
Can I follow up on that? I mean, on the, your wastewater, funds on that, on the other financing sources in there, is that the bond fund we're talking about on that, the 90,000 on that?
90 million.
90 million.
Yes.
Sorry, I mean,
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
And as I said, that will appear when we have the September financials and we present them. You will see that that will be accounted for there.
Good. So our capital improvements is around 87 million. So we have a contingency of around 3 million somewhere there.
Correct.
Sitting. Okay. Thank you.
Does the state's kind of policy change, has that, how or if, is that impacted us in any way in terms of our cash flow? I mean,
Which policy change?
well, you said that state funds our taxes differently now or something, you mentioned something. The state had some kind of change and.
Sales tax.
That was sales tax, yes. Sales tax, but that has to do with businesses who are filing their sales tax returns, and then we get a piece of sales tax revenue. But it doesn't have anything to do with impact fees.
No, I know. But
Oh, okay.
I was curious on if that policy has.
Oh, it hasn't changed. They're having a problem with the implementation of their new software. So there's,
state is.
the state is.
Oh,
So there's a
okay.
delay in us receiving funds.
Thanks for the clarification.
It's not too bad, but we know that there's still a little bit kind of sitting out there.
I know sometimes when powers beyond ours make rules and regulation that we have to adhere to, and we have to pay out the money first and get it collected, that could create some problems for the city in terms of cash flow. And
Right.
I know sometimes cities have to actually go out and borrow money to cover it and just to be able to.
Right.
So I hope we're not in that situation.
No, we're not. They did, when they did the crossover to their new software, it glitched. And so I believe that their June filings got a little mixed up. And they all got filed, but a lot of the filings, the money ended up in the state's pooled sales tax fund instead of in the counties where they belonged.
Oh, okay.
So they've been spending time moving it, going back, auditing and all of that. So we're hoping that now they're just about done with our consultant that works on our sales tax. They said that they're pretty confident they've just about gotten through all of it. They're keeping a really close eye on that.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to receive and file.
So move.
You have a public records request.
There is a request to speak on this item.
I'm sorry?
There is a request to speak on this item.
Okay?
No, this is not how accounting works at all. Revenue comes in. First of all, this is the month of November, okay? Your revenue has been in many months ago. There is your books are not set up properly. It's basic accountant, revenue, expenses for the year. This is basic accounting. When the money comes in, it's recorded. There is no negatives. Your books aren't set up properly. When you three sit there, you notice your accountant's not going, ooh, it looks good. You three do not know what you're doing or you're frauds. If you don't know what you're doing, if you know nothing about accounting, then you have no business sitting there. And if you do know what you're doing and you're just committing fraud, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Somebody told me they went to your church. You, Santos. You go to church, do not lie, do not steal,
Yeah.
do not bear false
So there's
witness
not another
against the
speaker?
neighbor.
Okay.
I believe, do you want to restate your motion?
Yes.
Yeah, move to receive and file the monthly reports. What were they called?
Are you stupid or do you know what?
July and August financial reports.
I will second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's move to the next item on our agenda, which is a discussion of December meeting date. I've looked at the calendar, and I don't see any kind of a conflict.
The only conflict, Chairman, is that I will not be here that day. I actually am returning from a trip Tuesday morning, so I won't be here for that meeting.
Okay,
I won't be here either because I have to do my continuing education.
okay,
Okay, so there's our conflict.
so there's our conflict. Okay.
So I don't know if another day that week, or if we want to try for the following Monday, or, you know, I just didn't know what the committee would want to entertain.
Is it set for December 3rd?
Okay,
Yes, except for December 3rd.
okay, the following,
I personally won't be here.
Okay,
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 following Monday.
Yeah.
I won't be here,
okay,
but that doesn't mean you couldn't do the meeting without me.
so, and let's see.
Do we need a meeting in December?
That's a good question.
Well, we'll have council on the 4th. So
Yeah, so
we
the
can't,
council meeting's on the 4th, so
we
it
can't
doesn't,
do the 4th.
yeah. And
A lot of the numbers we look at, I mean,
if we were to hold it after the 4th, it doesn't have a whole lot of purpose. And then we roll further into December and everybody just gets
busy.
busier and busier.
that's what I was thinking.
So,
I mean, I will have, you know, more financial reports that we can look at, but I didn't know how far into December we would need to move anything.
yeah, even if we move down to the 10th, which is another week, we've missed council meeting. And so it would just compile. To me, it makes more sense to not hold a meeting in December, and just know that January will be a little busier.
Okay.
And while we're looking at the calendar, if we roll over to January, we don't have a conflict that I can see because the first Monday is the 7th.
Okay, so can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Why don't we say that we'll cancel December unless there's a discussion
Good point.
with finance where there's an issue,
A
or
need.
council,
A need,
where there's
right.
an issue that comes up, in which case you and the city clerk will work through finding an alternate date. How
Okay.
does that sound?
That works. You wanna propose that as a
Okay.
motion?
So I make a motion that the December meeting is canceled and that it will be rescheduled based on need with work between the chair and the city clerk's office on an alternate date.
As needed, yeah,
Okay?
if needed, I guess.
Do you have a-
Sound good?
Yes, do you have a
Alright.
second on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then that motion passes, and we will not meet next month unless something comes up in the interim. And should it come up, and then either myself or the clerk will contact and find an agreeable date that works with at
And-
least a quorum.
And Nicole can poll to make sure that there's enough people on an alternate date, should
Right.
you need to declare one.
Right, okay. The next item is future agenda items. Is there anything that, Mayor, yes?
I would like an update on the progress of the audit.
Yes.
I would like an update on our new spreadsheet that you
Yes.
started. So I'd like to see an update on those.
I have that on my list, as
Okay.
well as the status of our project accounting
Okay.
for the two big projects, and the continuing financial reports. And then I do have an organizational chart, if you will, what we do with risk claims. So I will bring that
That's
as
good.
well.
That was my third thing. I was going to suggest that you talk to Mr. Beneke to make sure that his things that he wants to cover are incorporated into your response.
Right. This document from the budget in fiscal 17, that was written by our interim city manager we had at that time. And I'm not sure all of the details that are in there, but I know that it does cover everything very broadly, but doesn't really say anything specifically.
I mean, yeah, I appreciate that. It's, you know, I didn't want to open up any kind of can of worms or anything like that, but I do have a few questions just in terms of maybe some suggestions for improving how we do it. It's just some ideas.
And it has changed since this
And I'm
was
sure it has,
done, so, yes.
A lot of changes have been occurring.
So it's
So-
probably appropriate to
Sure.
to get that update, and then you can look at it, and if you have some suggestions,
Yeah, I'll get with you.
go that way.
Okay.
I'd like to
Okay.
formally sit down with you.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
I haven't done that yet.
No,
I'd like
you
to do
haven't.
that.
Yes.
I was going to say
Definitely.
either that, or could you send Milana an email that says
No, I'll
what it
sit
is?
down.
But you do however you want, as long as we,
I like to do things in person.
as long as we cover.
Sometimes
what
it's
you-
easier to understand that way, yes.
And
Yes.
then there's one thing I'd like an update on as well, and that is the ethics training,
Yes.
where we're at.
The fraud
with next
hotline.
month. Yeah, the ethics
good.
and fraud
That's good.
thing.
Right.
Sure.
And I'm working
wanna-
with our IT manager about some of the issues that go with that, so
Yeah.
I should have an update.
We want
easily.
to keep that in
Oh, yeah.
front of the committee and move forward on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have
Oh,
one.
go ahead.
You go, Richard.
I was thinking, I think my term ends in December.
Oh, we do need
Well,
to talk.
actually,
So
it's kind of relates to what I was going to say is,
I don't know how
I
we-
think we need some additional alternate members. So maybe we should review. I don't know, do you want to stay home the first Monday of every month now? Is that what you're,
Football's over with now, it doesn't matter.
but I think at some point, and we
No,
can.
I would like to continue, but I do serve at the will of the council, so I mean, it's at the pleasure of the council, so I mean, it's up to you guys. It's
Okay, and I think we need to talk about getting some more alternate members, right?
Right, I think we do. And then I have one last thing. I would like to schedule probably in February, just a review of what this committee is charged with doing, what our responsibilities are. And, I'll take some time to meet with the various city employees that we fit into, and maybe even council, so that we have a real clear picture. I think we've worked very diligently, and the big, huge issues out there, the big elephants in the room, we've handled that. Now we need to fine tune and see where we can provide some more targeted
continued support, yeah.
support for the council.
Sure.
Good point.
I do have, if the committee wants to, we can't take action or anything, but I do have an update on the June numbers. If you want these reports, I can hand them out. But since I'm not on the agenda, we can't really do anything with them. But I don't know if you want them for informational purposes.
I would.
I'm concerned if you hand
Yeah.
them out, we have members of the public who've left.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be that we waited to hand them out until.
There can't be any more than just a brief discussion.
Well, that's why I was thinking we wouldn't even talk about them. They're really just to compare what I told you before the numbers were and how they've now landed.
Okay, all right.
That's really all that
What do you-
these are. Is that going to be
As long as
okay?
there isn't a
Discussion.
can't
big
discuss.
discussion on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let
no
me look at the
discussion.
law book here to see if
Okay.
Yeah, we hand them out, but we won't discuss
There you
it.
go, and it'll just be
All right.
something you can review on your own, and so if there are questions, you can always ask
Okay,
me.
so,
I would like an update on the Potrero.
Yes, that's one of the projects.
Okay.
yes.
Good,
okay,
I would like one.
sure.
The big projects are the wastewater treatment plant and Potrero.
Thank you.
And hopefully by then, we will already finish.
I mean, I can
the
see how it's
Thank you.
going,
lights
but.
in Oak Valley,
Yeah.
we won't have anything to discuss.
Thank you.
especially when you happen to hit the right day and the right time, and you can sit there for an hour to
Yeah.
see what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, do we need a motion on the agenda items?
I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't think so either.
Need to.
Okay, so
So
then the
I
next-
have, if we just want to really quickly, I have for the January meeting, the financial reports, status of the audits, the checklist update, status of the projects, the fraud hotline, and risk.
Yes,
That's a lot, yeah.
thanks a lot.
Now, the members and the purpose, that can wait till a later meeting if we want.
The
Yeah.
February meeting,
February is what
Okay.
I propose.
okay, that's what I got.
All right,
Well, especially if you get additional,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and let's get through this
Okay.
election year
right.
transition and that. Okay, so that leaves the last thing is the treasurer's report, and since our treasurer is excused tonight, is someone stepping up and taking that, or are we just gonna? Okay,
No, and I
So-
think that the financial reports that I did present tonight for July and August, those will be on council's agenda, but not tomorrow night. In 2 weeks, it'll be on there. So
all right.
if Sharon has something, she can bring it up at that meeting.
Okay, then I think it's appropriate at this time to adjourn the meeting at,
Don't go by that clock.
so,
Look at my computer.
You can go right on the corner of your computer.
6:35,
Hey,
current time. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
thank you.